Preparing to stream, setting up for Facebook. Siehst du das auch?
This is being live streamed, I just said.
Awesome. Hello, hello, everybody. We are live on Facebook this week again with Julie.
Yay.
Thank you so much for taking the time, Julie, again. And I love listening to all your fun stories about China. So I'm so grateful to have you here. So today in our second part of our ongoing series, in preparation for our trip in September 2026 to China, we just wanted to, clarify some things about China or educate because a lot of people don't know what they don't know, right? And we hear a lot of things, and it's hard to fact check some things, right? Because the internet, we can find anything we want on either side about everything. So,
And yeah, and also, I mean, ChatGPT doesn't help because AI kind of reinforces, like they tell you whatever you want to hear. So that's not always helpful.
exactly. And I'm so glad you brought that up, especially when it comes to travel planning, like you mentioned last week. And actually, I searched some other examples, and what I came up with, it was really kind of sad, funny, but also sad.
Well, I
So,
think it's funny as long as you're outside of it, right? As long as you're not living it. And if you are living it and you're spending a lot of time and effort and money, especially on things that turn out to not be true, then that's kind of sad.
exactly, exactly. So, and I the other day I recorded a podcast actually with somebody I met about Brazil, and
Hmm.
she was addressing, a lot of people, and it is, and she acknowledged how dangerous Brazil can be, but there are also other sides to it, right? So it's not everywhere. So it's, I will never go to Brazil because it's dangerous, but it's not all dangerous. So I like, just going into to the meat of it. So what I thought would be interesting to talk about today, and of course, Julie, you've lived there for 20 years and you can really speak to this a lot more intelligently than I could, but we hear so many things about China and about the cheap stuff. And I'd like to bust that myth. And I'd like you to talk about that for a minute, if you would.
Of course, with pleasure. Yes, if I had a nickel for every time I hear, oh, but it's all like the quality is all bad and it's like all you get from China is crap, and I'd be a very rich woman. So the thing is, there's this saying in Chinese called 一分钱一分货, which is kind of you get what you pay for, or you pay peanuts, you get monkeys, that type of thing, right? And that's exactly what it is. So in China, for this goes for a lot of things, but when we're talking product quality, you have a little bit of everything. You have very, very cheap products that can be very bad quality. You can have products that are still way cheaper than in many Western countries that are quite good quality. And you have luxury products in China that may or may not cost the same as a, and it's it's a lot more nuanced. So saying all things that come from China are cheap, that is not true. The thing is that in many countries, in Europe, and I'm sure the same goes for the US, people only want the cheap stuff. Like they don't want to pay high prices for things. And then they are confused or they are disappointed if they get what they paid for, which is if you pay very, very cheap prices, then chances are you will get very cheap products. That's one thing. Another thing is that the products that are being exported are tend to be on the lower spectrum because the for many years Chinese companies have been competing on price outside of China. So it's and then it's a race to the bottom, right? It's if all you do is you want to supply products cheaper than your competitors, then of course at some point quality will suffer. But this is market driven to some extent, right? It's people don't want to pay more, and so that's what the Chinese companies offer. I have so there's somebody who's I mean, there's so many China experts nowadays, but somebody who I'm friendly with on LinkedIn, Olivia Plotnick. She's American. She's lived in Shanghai for I want to say 12 or 15 years, for a while anyway. And she does a lot of branding and marketing, and she's in the beauty space, leisure, like anything leisure activities and all those things. And her posts are amazing because she talks about Chinese companies that do these things really well, that do packaging really well, that are extremely high quality, and that are building a brand around it, where it's not just let's provide the product, but let's do the branding around it as well. And this is something that there are Chinese companies doing that, but they are mostly operating in the Chinese market and only slowly coming out of China.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And another thing that when you said you were going to ask me this question, I was like, so what's my take on it? And it is true that even when we buy something so you have the I don't want to say the Chinese Amazon because I think it's so much better than Amazon, but the the biggest e-commerce platform in China is, or one of the biggest ones is Taobao. And Taobao has a little bit, so it has some aspects that are similar to Amazon in that you can have lots of vendors that just offer their products there, and then all the platform does is facilitate the exchange. But everything is shipped from the warehouse of the person selling to the consumer. And there you can have very bad quality, but those vendors will disappear quickly because it's you people leave reviews, and so my husband is the Taobao king, like he's the one ordering everything from there, and he has a whole strategy behind it where he's saying, yeah, okay, so I want somebody who's established as a vendor, and I want somebody where I can check the pictures of the actual product from people who bought it. So people upload pictures and also videos of the things that they bought. They will do unboxing, they will do all sorts of things. And you can see those in the comments to this particular vendor. And there you can see, is it just a pretty product picture in they're offering it, or is the actual product something that I would want in my home? And so you have to do your due diligence. And I feel that a lot of when you're looking at Temu or Shein or offers like that,
Right.
what you see is not what you get, but what you see is exactly what you paid for. Or
Right.
what you get is exactly what you
It's
paid
what you
for.
pay for. Right.
So, and that's just, it has to come from somewhere, right? And so that's one thing. Another thing is we would always crazy when it comes to anything food related, kitchen appliances, and all of that stuff. And we are semi professional. We have a semi professional kitchen because we make our own sausage, we bake our own bread, we do a lot of stuff. And a lot of the appliances, a lot of the products we use will be the same as you would find in a small bakery or in a small butcher's. So it's not the ridiculously huge industrial size, but it's the artisan size, right? And um, so there we everything we have are Chinese brands, and they're cheaper than something that is a household size from a Western brand, and the quality is good. And it's, but you have to look for it. It's not, you can't just randomly buy the cheapest thing that you can find, because then you will get something that might fall apart if you've done it too hard.
Right. And I love that clarification because, you know, somebody recently in a comment said that um she was trying to vet some products for her website. She's doing like a gift store type situation. And she said, I can't source it, and I certainly don't want any of that cheap SHIT from China. And comparing it with Timu and Sheen, like you already mentioned. But clearly there's a market for it because a lot of people do buy it, right? So like you said, it's you pay for what you get, but if you don't want that, there's other stuff too. I don't know why it's become so synonymous, cheap products China. It boggles my mind.
I I think the thing is, and to tie it back into our trip, right? I think it's easy to just say it's all the same, like it's all bad quality. It's all they're just trying to rip you off. It's negative, 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 whichever adjective you can come up with. If you if you have no way of verifying for yourself, if you have no way of communicating. And this is something, seeing as I am married to the Taobao King, um, that's something I've done a lot of, is connect with vendors and discuss. And want uh, we want this, but we want it in this way, right? So can you personalize this? Can you and but it takes a lot of back and forth. It takes a lot of it's not effortless. And if you want to source from China, get somebody who speaks Chinese and ideally is Chinese, but has lived in your country and who knows both sides. A friend
Right.
of mine is Chinese friend of mine who lives in Europe, but comes from a procurement background. She like that's exactly what she brings to the table here, is that she is Chinese and she understands and she can communicate, but she also understands that the quality requirements can be different, and
Hmm.
also that the rules can be different. I mean, you have, if you, depending on what you want to buy, right? You need FDA approval. There's all sorts of rules and regulations that may not be in place in China.
Right.
And so just it's there's no such thing as a free lunch. It's
Right.
not you can't have cheap without you can't have cheap and effortless and quality.
And quality. Yeah. Yeah.
So you can have cheap and quality, but it's not going to be effortless. Or you can have cheap and effortless, but it's not going to be quality.
Quality. And
And
keeping
the
in
same goes for our travel, right? This is that's why we're organizing the travel the way we are, is because we want to give people the best experience. We want people to experience quality,
right.
and we want it to be effortless for them
Right.
because we're the ones doing the due diligence. We're the ones who know, and we're not working with just anyone. We're not just going to go and be like, no, let's do this cheap so that we have a good margin. That's not at all what we're looking for. What we're
Right.
looking for is having the best experience with people, with people that have the same values we do, and with people who understand what it means to to show the beauty that China is.
Yeah. And for those of you that may have hopped on a minute late, we were talking about products in China, but also keeping in mind Julie has lived in China for many, many years. And she really is not just somebody who, was there in and out and traveling, but she's lived there for 10 years consecutively and another 10 years on and off. She's been there 20 years. She speaks the language, she's worked there. So, she really knows. And I, of course, have a lot of ties to China in that my father was raised it, but I do not have the in-depth knowledge because I've never lived in China. But like you just said, Julie, we really want to offer a trip that is, and it's not a shopping trip. So we're talking about shopping because I'm sure some people will, of course, buy certain things, but it's not a shopping trip per se, but quality is quality. And what we are
And
doing,
this goes for everything, right? This goes for if we go someplace, to say, okay, what are our quality requirements, right? Quality is always defined by the customer. So what is important? When I'm looking for an accommodation, I am not necessarily looking for an international chain of hotels. I'm looking for something that has soul, right? I want, even in the accommodation, I want that to reflect China in the best way. Meaning, let's find a place that has certain quality standards when it comes to, being
Of
clean,
course.
being comfy, all of those things, but let it mean something.
Yeah.
And when we're going places, that's why we have some of the things included that we do. Like I know we said we wanted to talk about at least one more highlight
Yep.
today.
Yep.
Um, so the one thing that I know you're probably most excited about is going to Jiangyan, right? To the panda base. And there it's the same thing. There is the panda base that all the foreigners go to that is very close to Lu, and where you can go and you can get your picture taken with a panda and you can see the whole thing. Um, that's not where we're going. And the place where we're going is a little bit further off the beaten path. It's a place that not as many people go to, because what you do is we're the ones doing the work. We're the ones, because I believe that the best way to experience something is to walk in other people's shoes, right? And on that, it will be an entire day where we're walking in the shoes of somebody who takes care of pandas. So there may be some cleaning involved, there may be some feeding involved, there may be some cutting up bamboo involved. I don't quite know yet what all we will be doing, but we will understand what it takes to to supply the care for these magnificent animals. And we will understand much better what it means to preserve that, their not just their habitat, but what it takes to just keep them alive, right? And because we know that they're endangered, and um the people working on that base are doing everything they can to bring the numbers back up, and we get to be a part of that. And I think that is so much more special than going in, taking a picture, and being out in half an hour.
Absolutely. Having that hands-on experience and learning more about, their natural habitat, right? I mean, what's required to keep them. And
Yes, the conservation efforts,
I love that.
the what all goes into it, the research that is behind it, and getting our hands dirty a little bit, because I mean, who could say that, right? I shoveled things out of a panda enclosure in China for a day.
I've done a
Why
lot
not?
of stall monkeying with horses, but I've just certainly never cleaned a panda, but I'm excited. And you're absolutely right. I mean, I'm super excited about the trip, period, but that is definitely going to be one of the highlights. And of course, like you mentioned last week, the part of the wall that, most people haven't seen. And if you actually, that reminds me, I'm also going to put these recordings on the YouTube channel just in case, because Facebook now deletes them just so that we have everything. And so I just made a mental note of that. So I'm super excited. And so I just had another question. Oh, what I wanted to say is because people have actually asked me, and the reason well, one person asked me, and then somebody else asked me about the food in China. And I was
Mhm.
speaking to a chef actually the other day, and she does retreats to different countries' culinary experiences. And although this is not what this is, there is a huge culinary variation. I'm not going to talk about it today because that's our subject
I
for next week.
yeah, I can't even, I'm laughing because that's also understanding more about Chinese culture, is Chinese travel to eat. Like
Yep.
that, to them, that's sometimes the most important part, is what you get to eat in that place where they're going. But it's always one of the most important aspects, is the food. So yes,
Is
there will
yep.
be there will be food. We will be
There
eating.
So next week or the week after, depending, Julie's traveling. So we'll see either next week or the next time. We'll definitely be going into the cuisine
Mhm.
which is so, yeah, I mean, it's such a big country, right? I mean, you look at Germany alone, it has the specialities of China is like a million times the magnitude. So I'm super excited for that. But if anybody has any questions about the subject we talked about today, please reach out to either one of us or comment below because it's very dear to my heart because I've actually had people say they would never travel to China because of that. And it breaks my
Because of
heart.
the food.
No, not because of the food, because of the shopping.
Oh,
The
because of the
shopping.
cheap
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, because of the sheep
Okay.
stuff. And it looks and it's the cheap stuff because I think they think it reflects on the country. The country is cheap.
Mhm.
And that's not what it is, right? And of
No.
course, like I said, the internet and ChatGPT, it's like, so I'd hate for people to miss out on the opportunity to experience the culture and the warmth and the tradition and all the things because they have some preconceived notion that is just not true in that sense. But we don't know what we don't know, right? So it's hard for some people to wrap their brain around. So I really wanted to bring that up today because and I'm so glad that Julie has that experience, and she has, how do you say the Amazon?
Taobao.
Taobao.
Taobao. Yeah, and since I am married to the Taobao king, so I know what I'm talking about.
So when you were in China, he mostly ordered from there, or is it
We
um
ordered everything from there.
okay,
I mean, you have other ways of or I mean, everything is ordered online. Some of it is ordered locally. So most of the time you don't even go to a grocery store. You order and 30 minutes later it's at your door.
right?
And but yes, everything, well, food and non-food, but mostly non-food, like all of the non-food stuff we ordered on Taobao.
Taobao. I'll have to remember that. That's awesome. So again, and the other thing I wanted to mention, and Julie, you'll back me up here, is if there's something specific you'd like to see besides the pandas, because I'm not going to cut those out. And of course, everybody wants to see some part of the wall, but if there's anything you'd like to do, anything you'd like to experience that, let us know because we really want to create this trip in September, and I don't have the dates right here, but I am going to put together in the next couple days the itinerary on a webpage, so I will have that done by next time. And again, it's 100% customizable. We can totally tweak it. We can change it if you say we want to do this. So please reach out and let us know.
Yes. Yeah, it's well, let's I think the wall and the pandas are gonna stay in.
For sure.
So if anyone is averse to the wall and the pandas, then I'm sorry, maybe this is not for you.
Not for you.
But but we can definitely change and or amend the rest. Yes.
Super. So thank you, everybody. Again, let us know if you need anything. We'll be back either next week or the week after with all things food in China and more. And I'm super grateful to you, Julie, for having the expertise and honestly making my dream come true because I don't speak the language. And yes, I go, but I think having somebody who speaks the language will make it so much more um just more rich.
It does make a big difference
Absolutely.
because then you will not get scammed. You will not um have to be stuck to the places that are accessible if you speak English. You won't
Exactly.
have to put your trust into a person that you don't know, that may or may not, like you and I, we just want to have a good time. So we're going to make sure that it's going to be an amazing trip. And
Mhm.
it's not, oh, let's take them there and have them spend all that money there because there's no point for us. We
Right.
want to go to exciting places that we also enjoy.
Exactly, exactly. And we want to make it super, super, super interesting, culturally immersed for everybody involved. So I'm really looking forward to it. September can't come fast enough.
Agreed.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.